Hello and welcome.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's the first recap for Higurashi.
Is happening! We completed the arc, the whole thing.
Yeah, so
in one go.
If for whatever reason you're unfamiliar with the format here, at the end of each arc, we sit down, we discuss what we think it was about. We do two recaps. One was a recap. One is a recap from when we were going through the first time, which is this one.
So we just finished Onikakushi Hen like a week ago, but still, we just finished it. It
was the last thing we
haven't recorded any of Chapter 2 yet. It's going to be good.
And then the next recap will be after we've edited it, and we'll be looking at the things we noticed in editing, the things that changed, how it wasn't a reread as opposed to the first time through. Yeah.
We also talk about a little bit of the production stuff, like what was your favorite voice that you did? It's going to be great. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Excited to find out what you think your favorite voice was.
Right. So, I guess, what do we want to talk about for Onikakushi Hen?
I mean, look, let's be real. This was a fun time, and this was a sad time. And one of us was emotionally destroyed by the end. So I want to start off a little easier. I want to start off with the obvious thing that everyone wants to know the answers to, and that is why Japanese words are so difficult.
Yes, I mean, here in Onikakushi Hen...
Onikakushi, hin, that's how the Japanese say it. Fucking chapter hin, that's what it means. Yep, it was a journey from start to finish. I am not as familiar with the words of... Well, actually, it's the opposite problem. It's that I'm too familiar with the words from Higurashi, so in my head, I already have like a... This is how this word is pronounced.
Yeah,
like
you're already locked in.
And Onikakushi, and Watanagashi. Like...
Watanagashi?
Watanagashi, as opposed to Watanagashi, which is, I believe, how the real scholars pronounce it. Like that. Wah, Luigi Hen. I'd read that. Watanagashi is how you're supposed to pronounce it. But yeah, I've been on a journey through this because every single day, I get comments that are like, and messages and pings on Discord that are like, you need to learn how to speak Japanese. I thought you were supposed to be the expert. And I'm like, I am the expert on Higurashi. I am not the expert on the Japanese language. Sirs and madams, fight me.
But aren't they the same thing? Isn't Higurashi an emblem of the Japanese language? So shouldn't by extension you have learned these things?
I mean, it really is. It really is emblematic of the entirety of Japan. So I need to know everything, especially takoyaki. Takoyaki is very important. I now know what that is now because that video just came out today. Apparently it's like fried dumpling or something with octopus inside. You know what? I've already forgotten what they said. Point is, I'm not the expert. You need to be the expert on the Japanese language for me. Anyway, that's my rant over.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this chapter, how the emotional scales went from one end to completely the opposite.
Yes.
So it started off with me being traumatized and you having the time of your life, to me having the time of my life and you being traumatized.
I was so done by the end.
It was just like straight crossover in the middle.
Like, I felt like, I don't know how it's going to sound in recording, but I feel like my just voice acting died in like the last 2 episodes because I just didn't want to continue.
Yeah, there was like this crossover point right in the middle where Keiichi first started going nuts, where you were having fun and I was having fun, and then it just swapped.
The Watanagashi Festival is a turning point. The Watanagashi. Fucking get out of here! Point 1 being brought back up again.
Yeah.
Point is,
I mean, I think it's very obvious if you've watched through that slice of life is not my jam.
No, it's not at all.
Slice of knife is more my jam.
Oh, slicing knives. Yeah.
I think that it's like, to me, a slice of life section kind of has to be earned. I have to care about the characters first rather than caring about them because of slice of life, which seems to be how this story is set up.
Yeah, this is a trope that's in a lot of like visual novels. It was my biggest problem with a certain novel called Rewrite. Shout out to Rewrite for being... Ryushi wrote in that. He didn't write like a lot of it, but he wrote a little bit. It was pretty bad. Point is though, it's probably
Ryukashi.
It is bad. Ryukashi wrote bad. Look, Ryukashi...
Oh my god.
You're a golden god, but you were dog shit in Rewrite.
Oh my god.
I'm saying it now. I'm calling it now.
Gosh.
I'm calling him out.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, that is in fact the only thing I've ever heard about Rewrite.
Is that he wrote a little bit and
section
shit
was the bad one.
Yes, it was.
Which makes me sad. I feel like it was probably the kind of thing where Ryukashi was like invited to do it, but because it wasn't like his
thing.
ideas.
Yeah. It wasn't his vision. I imagine that he just got given, like, these are the Spark Notes, and he's like, all right, I'll just do whatever, I guess. I don't really know, like, what the overall point of the story is or how I can reflect the thematic content, so I'll just write a mystery and then...
Yeah, I think it would be
Have a cool fight
interesting.
scene.
I think it'd be interesting to look at that part in Rewrite as an example of like the extremes of Ryukishi's weaker points in his writing. So when you're like looking at, you know, repetition and pacing and those sorts of things,
Bullshit
I feel like
mysteries.
Having not read it, admittedly, I feel like the chapter in Rewrite, my expectation would be that it would be like exaggerated versions of those problems.
Yeah. It would be very interesting to read it through with you at some point. Maybe just do a little podcast about it and talk about what went wrong. But anyway, my problem that I was trying to point out was not actually to do with his chapter. It was that all key novels have a common route. A lot of visual novels have a common route. That's what that slice of life stuff is in Higurashi.
Yeah.
It's the common route, but they don't tell you that that's what it is. Most common routes go over the course of like 2 weeks of in-game time, and it's nothing but the characters dicking around and having fun. Which is great and all, and I've had lots of people tell me, like, it's such a strength of visual novels that we spend so much time getting to know the characters. I see it as a huge problem.
I hate it so much.
I'm entirely with you. I think that Higurashi's, like, slice of life scenes, like, there's only, like, four of those scenes. They go on for a while, but there's only like 4 of them. Imagine sitting through 2 entire weeks worth of like characters doing that just over and over again and nothing changing.
I don't have to imagine, Ben, because I've read the opening of Little Busters, and that is the foundation for my hate of visual novels.
I actually quite enjoy. It's true, you do hate visual novels. I've heard. Visual novels are a mistake.
Like the opening sections of Little Busters' Common Route, I just like it got to the point where I was like, can we just move on? And I quite
enjoyed it, but that was because I took the 07th expansion approach to it, and I found that there was a lot more under the surface, which, if you want to see what I thought, go hunt for my posts on kazumatsuri.org, because those were fun.
Yeah, I think Higurashi, its opening section, Slice of Life, is another good example of, like, hiding too little in too much padding, I think.
I think so.
Like, to me, reading through the opening sections, and we might have said this on recording already, but...
We definitely have. It's a problem.
The opening sections of Higurashi very much have a lot of obvious details in amongst a lot of padding, whereas something like Umineko has a lot of really subtle details hidden in...
slightly less padding.
Slightly less padding.
Yeah. I mean, this is a problem in Ryuki's writing, that he'll repeat himself, go around in circles, and it's fun. Like, a lot of the time, that's like the point of his writing, is that, a character is using circular logic, or they're not spinning the chessboard enough, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, there's usually a point to it, but it also just doesn't make for good reading.
Yeah.
I hope you're excited. Arc 2 is also Wata Nakashi. Got it. Is also going to have a similar amount of slice of life. I think maybe even more. So I hope you're ready for that.
Sweet.
I don't know how you're going to cope.
I don't know either, but I somehow managed to get here.
It's true. Power of friendship, which is pretty cool, and definitely is not a theme of this novel.
Yeah, I think I don't know what to expect from Watanagashi, because, like, I think I expected a few things going into...
What did you expect?
Well, I mean, first of all, as evidenced by my discussion in the opening first minutes of the first few videos, I expected Mion's sister to show up in Onikakushi.
Yeah, she's just not in Arc 1.
I thought she was, like, part of the main gang. Like, that was my impression.
I can neither confirm nor deny this, but she's not in the first arc.
Yeah.
An interesting conversation to have, I think, is actually whether he intended her to be in the story at all in Arc 1. Because it seems obvious... Because she's just not there.
Yeah.
But I will let you know, she will be, like, arguably as important as any other member of the group going forward. She's just not in the first arc. It's very strange.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to say about that, because we haven't met her at all.
Yeah.
I feel like there will probably be a specific reason why she wasn't in the first arc, and I'm excited to see
definitely
what that ends up being. But I really have no idea, because that my expectation there is already shattered, and it's a bit hard to pick up the scraps from that.
Do you know anything about her character, or who she is, what she does?
I know they're twins. That's it.
Twins. Okay,
that's
cool.
it. That's about it.
That's good. That's a good place to be.
I also know what her outfit from the PlayStation version is.
I don't know which one you're referring to. She has multiple outfits. So
I know.
There's the other characters. But yeah, sure.
Like, what I thought Mion and Shion were in terms of their like character design. I had them backwards.
Oh, interesting.
Just from seeing the like PS3 promotional images.
That's fun. I wonder why that is. That's very fun. Yeah.
I mean, they're twins. What do you want me to do?
I don't know. I'm just curious. But yeah, no, she's cool. We will meet her soon enough, I'm sure. But she is not in Arc 1 because Ryukushi hadn't come up with her yet, I assume.
Do you, Ben?
Yeah,
All right.
assume. I mean, that's kind of the fun thing, is wondering, like, how much of this... Because this is Ryukushi's, like, first big project.
Yeah.
You know, he'd done Hinamizawa Bus Stop, and there are elements of that story, so don't read it. There are elements of that story in this story.
Yeah.
But this was his first foray into visual novels. I remember, like, reading stories about him, like, going to a convention to sell his game and being, like, surprised when he sold any copies at all, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's very impressive for, like, what he managed to pull off with basically no experience in this. Yeah, and as you said, like, for me, certainly, the biggest kind of drawback to the story is always that contrast between the light and the dark, the fun times and the horrible times. Like, watching this group of friends fall apart so quickly and so completely.
I do really enjoy the way that this is exploring the themes. Like,
it's really well done.
The one thing that I knew going into this is a story about friendship, and I think it's really, really obvious right from the get-go how it's exploring that. Like, the slice of life things it's just about the friendship, and as much as that grates on me, I understand why it's there.
Yeah.
And then also all of the tips are just like, oh yeah, this group of people banded together, that group of people banded together.
Look at all this cooperation and friendship happening.
This went wrong because these people didn't band together.
Yes, there's all sorts of stuff like that. Because when I, originally got into Higurashi, I was brought in by a certain song that shall go unnamed until it appears in the story, but it's a beautiful song, and it was a music box version of said song, and I'll probably link in the comments or something, but I was just brought in by this little music video, and it had all the kids having fun, and it has lots of visual spoilers in it, but I didn't care, because I was young and stupid and didn't care about spoilers. But yeah, I watched this little fun music video about these kids hanging out, and I was at that age. I don't think this is like, a genetic age or whatever, but it's like, when you've read enough stories that you're like, I could never care about X, Y, and Z themes. They've been done to death. The Power of Friendship was one of them. I was, like, incredibly jaded despite still being in high school. Like, writing doesn't matter. Nothing can surprise me. The Power of Friendship is a dumb thing. And then I, found that little song. I was like, this is a nice song. What kind of anime is this? This Higurashi thing. Oh, God, this is horrifying. How are these the same story? And that was the hook for me.
I don't think I can relate to that sentiment of, like, not caring about particular themes.
Yeah.
I think I'm always open to the idea of something exploring themes in ways I haven't touched before.
I mean, I'm open now. Yeah, I was an idiot. Let's be real.
But I think one thing that was really interesting about the way that those themes were explored, particularly in the first arc, was the way that, to me, it was obvious that Rena, and less so the others, but not the others.
I mean, the focus is on Rena.
Yeah.
Rena and Keiichi's relationship is the focus of the first chapter.
Yeah, but
it's pretty obvious.
It was very obvious that Rena was coming at it from the perspective of, like, she's been through this and she's trying to help Keiichi get through something that she's suffered through before, but we're seeing it from Keiichi's, like, warped, twisted, nutty perspective. And he thinks that she's actually like, we're gonna bring you down with us, Keiichi. Which was really interesting because it almost implies a sense of, like, helplessness, where no matter what they do to try help and involve Keiichi with these things, he just sees something else happening. Like, particularly with the example right at the end where they're like, oh, let's go, Keiichi's not feeling well, let's go hang out with him today. And let's do a club activity, but he's got to have his punishment, so we're gonna do to him what we did to Tomotaki. And Keiichi sees them, like, stabbing him with a needle or whatever. And I think it's pretty obvious to say that the only thing that the gang did to Tomotaki was that they drew on his shirt with a marker, which was
obviously I can either confirm or deny anything. These are the mysteries of the story, Jagrono.
God, so
I'm here to dissuade you from the truth and stuff.
But, like, it's obvious that they're trying to help him because they probably know what he's going through. They saw Satoshi going through it. Rena supposedly has been through it. And chances are the others probably have as well, because
Maybe.
that seems to be a bit of the premise here.
Sure.
But there definitely is this just like very helpless angle where no matter what they do to involve him, he's seeing the opposite. So it'll be really interesting to see how that is explored going forwards, because I feel like the angle of helplessness, if it's taken again and again, is going to wear thin. So I'm interested to see what Ryukashi does to turn that on its head.
Maybe.
Be it that, like, we get a meta-narrative that starts to help Keiichi explore how to overcome it in a meta sense, whether Keiichi starts to, like, remember the previous events, whether it's other people that start to go insane and we see Keiichi having to help them from the opposite perspective. Or all three of those. Who knows?
No one knows. I know.
Yeah, you know.
Hey, hi, I know. I'm the guy.
And I'm sure I'm missing out on other possibilities.
Sure.
But like, it's interesting to me wondering how that theme is going to continue.
Sure.
Because I don't think it's going to be dropped, but I also don't think it can be continued in the same way.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're a writer and you have themes you want to explore, you don't just attack it from the same angle every time.
Exactly.
Because no one's gonna want that. I want to see the new crazy shit you got planned, Ryukashi. Yeah, I mean, you know, as I said, big focus is on Keiichi and Rena and how they hang out. It'd be cool if we get to see, I don't know, a relationship between Keiichi and another character. That'd be cool.
Yeah. It's also like, I think looking at, and we can get into this a bit later when we start talking about more Umineko focused things, but
Woo!
I also think just looking at the rules of what we've been presented with, there's a lot looser structure than we had going into episode 1 of Umineko, where Umineko had like, this is the list of things that is about to happen. These list of things have happened. How did they happen?
Yep.
Whereas here, it's like,
It's much looser.
did this happen? Did this happen?
Yep.
Did this happen?
Yep, it's a much looser framework to work with, which is kind of the point. But I like it. Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan. I'm enjoying this.
I really, even though like a lot of the hype is around Umineko and like, how can we figure out these very specific mysteries and all these rules and things? I like that Higurashi is a bit more open.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a little bit more casual, a little bit nicer, a little bit more comfy, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose we should probably go through the like conventional mystery questions.
Let's do it. Do you want to read them or shall I?
Go for it. Read them.
Okay, they're on the other side. They're on the other side of the screen, so I gotta lean over. Okay. What do you think of the characters until now?
All right, Keiichi's a monster. I don't like him.
Actually,
all of the others, they're fine.
Which one's your favorite character? You like Keiichi? Who's your least favorite character?
Oh, God.
This is my own question that I'm tacking onto this because I forgot to do it earlier. Who's your least and worst, like, most favorite characters?
It's a tough one. I feel like I've enjoyed Keiichi just because getting to play the character is a lot of fun.
Sure.
I feel like I will enjoy Mion a lot more when she gets more screen time.
Okay.
Because she's like totally my type of character to play.
Okay, cool.
Rena is a really great foil for Keiichi. I really love that setup.
She's best girl. I'm telling you. Get out of here.
But there's like some of her quirks are just like,
You're not a fan of her trying to take things home?
no, I mean, sure, whatever, those are fine, but it's just like, it gets to the point where it felt a bit like beating a dead horse. It's like, hey, did you hear Rena likes cute? Did you hear Rena likes cute things?
She's cute and she likes cute things.
Like, I don't think that part of her character shouldn't be there, but sometimes it was just like, okay, Ryukashi, I get it.
But she's adorable, and that's the main thing.
And Rika and Sadako, it's hard to say because they just
We don't
like,
see them as much. We don't see as much of them at all. They're just kind of hanging out. Sadako's setting off her traps, and Rika's petting people on the head.
I think the most interesting character to me, though, is by far Detective Delicious.
Yay! That's a good answer. I'll take it. Why is he the best character in Arc 1? Tell me.
Because not only is he delicious, but it's so difficult to tell where his motivations are at.
It's great.
Like, I think all of the other characters in the story, barring Takano, I think it's pretty obvious what their motivations are. And Takano, we can't tell just because she's barely there.
She's just not even in the story.
She's just not there.
She has like 2 lines. Like I reckon we gave her more lines than she actually had, and we gave her very few lines.
Yeah. It's very hard to tell what his motivations are. It's very hard to tell how he's actually trying to carry out his motivations. Like,
Yeah.
are things going to his plan, or are they not going to his plan?
What does he want?
And-
I think is the big question.
Yeah, and it's not that you like. It's not that the clues aren't there. It's that the clues are just vague in a very nice middle ground where it's not too
He's
hard to tell.
He's really nice as a character because he's like he was hardly on screen at all. Honestly, like we see there are maybe 3 scenes where he's talking to Keiichi, and there are 2 or 3 tips, and then there's the bit at the end, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like we don't get to see his personal life very much. What we do see of his interactions with people that aren't Keiichi is like kind of nebulous. Like it's not clear what he's talking about. It's great. It's clear that there's more going on with him, and I love the way that he talks and his offers of air conditioning.
Yeah.
Like
beautiful.
It's a great quack.
Also, I did find out. Someone messaged me after I asked them, and apparently the
what have I done wrong now?
the tip scenes where it's Uishi, but we can't tell that it's who's speaking.
Yeah.
Apparently, the wiki has who is speaking listed on the website.
Is it Kuma-chan?
Well, no. Like if
You mean like each line is...
yeah, it says who's
my
speaking each
God.
line, which we're not going to do because it's better to have Uishi talking to a mirror.
It's true. It is way more fun.
It's so much better.
It's so much more fun, but that's good to know. So if you want to see, go to those tips, and you can find out for yourself. Anyway, so favorite character, Uishi, least favorite character?
Takano, just because I don't want to pick.
Yeah, that's fair. That's entirely fair. She's just... Why is she not... She just does nothing. Anyway, it's fine.
Yeah, it's also so weird because she's the first not main cast character that's introduced when they like pass her on the road.
Yeah.
And that's so suspicious.
I know.
but
It's very strange.
She just
Look,
doesn't factor in.
I promise you we will learn more about her in the future.
Yeah, I'm
So,
sure we will. Like
she has a sprite. She's got to be important to some degree.
exactly.
Least as important as Tomitake and his horrible death. Alright, so the next question. The meaning of those scary eyes and
Meaning
there's
of
little
those scary
emoji, which
eyes.
are little spooky eyes. It's great.
I think it's probably like an indicator of when the whole multiple personalities thing is kicking in. I think that's a bit of a non-point of its own.
Sure.
But my perspective on it is that Keiichi is the one that's going insane and nothing is happening to the others.
Okay.
So like that's Ryukishi pointing to us to say like, hey, what you're seeing now is definitely not real. This is how Keiichi's madness is interpreting it. And I think particularly the tip about multiple personality disorder and the like TV classroom lesson are the ones that are pointing to say like, you know, hey, this is what's going on. It's left to the audience to figure out whether it's going on with Renner and Mion or whether it's Keiichi that's going nuts.
I definitely think
Keiichi's going nuts.
That's definitely the question that's posing. Like, I've seen plenty of theories like, oh, it's Keiichi. He's not seeing straight. He's on drugs or whatever. He's high. I've also seen theories that suppose that there are like multiple Renners and Mions, like there are clones running around, which has not been set up in the story.
Okay,
but,
then.
You know, it could be a thing.
That's odd.
I think it's a fun theory. I don't know. I don't know if you have any thoughts on clone Renner and Mion.
It's a fun theory, but I would be very upset if that was the truth.
Yeah, sure. That'd be good fun.
That's like the extra tips side story solution kind of thing, rather than the main story.
Yeah,
I think
it's like the dramatic reproduction of the events. Cool. So the next question: the presences Keiichi was feeling, like the scene from the entrance to his house, and the final scene on the phone with Uishi.
That one's a bit weird.
What's going on there?
There are a few angles.
Here's a pit pat and a tip tap.
Yeah, there are a few angles you could take on that. It's like he's clearly going insane, so he's probably not actually seeing anything directly. But of course, the fact that those scenes are there still raises questions about why Ryukishi put them there.
Sure.
So there probably is still something relevant, be it that someone else is watching him, be it that it's showing to us a memory that he's like lost, for example, and then maybe in later chapters we go back to that and what we see there is what was there in the first chapter, and we have to wonder like why he lost that memory, for example.
What do you mean by lose memory? Just give me a... What do you mean by that?
So...
You mean like in the moment he's like forgetting what's happening? Or do you mean like something in the past he's like...
So let's say like that scene in the shopping center, right?
Sure.
let's say when he turned around, there was someone there that he knew, and he had a conversation with them.
Right.
And
his memory is being like messed with.
Yeah, his memory is being messed with by whatever is afflicting him, and perhaps Ryukoshi is keeping something from us that will become relevant, so that when it appears later on, we know like, hey, this is important, and this is important now, because it was obscured earlier.
Cool. Yeah.
It seems like to me that is the way that those presences are presented is a very gamey construct.
Sure.
It seems to me to be pointing towards something that is relevant, and that's like your indicator of where that relevant information is. So memory loss is one possibility. There's also like other things like, back when I was suggesting that this is all a conspiracy, which I still believe. Still believe it's a conspiracy.
Okay. But who is the conspirators?
Get to that in a sec. But let's say that one of the conspirators are watching him, and his paranoia is like, as he's piecing together who the conspirators are, he's now seeing them as his presences in his memory and his vision. I
mean, this is the thing. We're going to jump a question. The meaning of the white van and the men outside Keiichi's house. Highly suspicious.
Super suspicious.
It seems like, assuming that, you said like, it might not actually be happening, but assuming that there is an actual van who like hit Keiichi with its mirror or whatever, or was trying to run him over, whatever's going on there, it seems pretty clear that someone is like watching him, Yeah,
I mean, again, that comes down to the blurring of reality and what Ryukoshi intended to be there.
Sure.
Because to my mind, what probably happened in that moment was Keiichi tripped over, a van drove past him, and he's like, the van hit me, because he's going nuts. But the fact that the van then appears later on means that it's probably relevant in another way.
Sure.
So sure, let's jump on the conspiracy thing. I still believe that. Basically, back at the start when I was like, oh, it's a government conspiracy, the military's in on it, that was because I was like super on edge by the reference of the guy who was becoming a sniper in like the second chapter.
I was wondering.
Because like, that's not the kind of thing you drop into a mystery novel.
Yeah.
It's so...
Oh my god, that's who killed Keiichi in the phone booth. It was the sniper from chapter 2! Ah!
I mean, not like that, but it's just... You don't just drop in mentions of things like that in a mystery novel.
Sure.
It's extremely suspicious, and it totally had me on edge.
It is a very specific reference, yeah.
And the thing is if it does come around and it ends up being a, like, military thing... I'm going to point at that and I'm going to say, see, I told you.
Sure.
But that's not what I actually believe it is. I believe it's probably more of a localized thing. I still believe it's like a group of people who are doing something to fuck with the water supply and turn the Keiichis gay.
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? Can we try that for the record? That is not PC. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I mean, there's all this backstory stuff with, like, the dam construction and everyone banding together that.
Yeah.
And, like, all of Keiichi's friends are tied to these different families.
Yeah. I think the fact that, as best I can tell, Mion is the only one that hasn't suffered as a result of the...
It's true.
As a result of the murders.
She hasn't, like, lost any family members or anything.
Yeah,
she didn't get in fights.
Yeah, she got in fights, and, like, Satoshi went missing, and that was her friend or whatever.
Yeah.
So you've still lost there, but she hasn't lost, like, her parents or anything like the others had.
She gained the most because she, like, won the dispute against the dam.
Yeah,
right?
so I think...
She seems to have a high stake in that.
And also the fact that the Sonozakis were mentioned to be, like, higher-ups in the town in the tips with Uishi.
Yeah.
I think that what we're probably going to get at is that it is something to do with Mion's family, and what's actually going to end up happening is Mion is suffering as a result of her family's actions.
Maybe.
And I think it'll be interesting to puzzle out why.
Yeah.
But that's kind of more where my head's at.
Sure. Okay, cool. I like it. Yeah, a conspiracy with the, like, families in the village.
Yeah, and, like, I still think, back when I said, like, oh, Tomataki's their spy, he's in town, I still think that's probably true. Okay. But I think he's probably working for someone like the Sonozakis, and that's why Mion knows him well.
If you think he's, like, suspicious and working for someone, then who is he working for?
I reckon that the Sonozaki family is probably the most suspicious ones in the story.
Cool.
I feel that because they are so aggressively suspicious in the way that they're framed, means that there's going to be something more interesting to it.
Sure.
And I think that Mion is probably going to end up being the vessel for that, because she hasn't lost anything, but this being Ryukashi, we're probably going to find out that's not going to be the case.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we've heard from Oishi, like, he's pretty on their asses, like, trying to figure out what's happening with the families, what's happening with your friends, tell me, Keiichi.
Yeah, so that's kind of where the conspiracy theory is at the moment.
Cool, yeah. Yeah, let's do some more of these questions. What is the syringe?
What is the syringe? Answer that. Move on.
Okay. Who's the manager Ren and Mion mentioned?
Baseball manager, because Keiichi said he was interested and they're trying to help him.
Okay. What do you think happened to Keiichi's message? Apparently it was torn.
Apparently it was torn. I haven't had the time this week
to read it. You had a whole week. I mean, I didn't check it either. But
it's not that I didn't have time between then and now. It's that I didn't have time between then and now.
Okay.
To actually do it.
Okay.
Because, I have this like real life that I'm living outside
I feel you.
The internet.
I feel you, but sometimes I forget about it. Sometimes I just want to read visual novels.
That's definitely going to be something to pull up in the post edit when I've actually had time to make a note on it.
Sounds good.
But I am very interested to see what was torn out. I almost feel like what's going to be torn out is going to be...
have a guess at what you think it is.
Relatively inconsequential.
Sure.
I don't remember all of the exact lines that you wrote down. Mm-hmm. But I feel like... because it was between his original and second note that was torn out.
Sure.
And that means it was probably the end of the first note. And
do you want to have a guess at what was torn out? What detail was
I really don't.
Removed? Or why someone might have removed it?
I don't. I mean, why someone might have removed it?
Yeah.
I mean, with the whole conspiracy thing.
Sure.
Maybe it was, shedding a bit too much light on the truth of the issue for whoever was behind that.
Right.
Also, we jumped past the van showing up at Keiichi's house.
I already said that.
No. You said it, but I didn't say anything about it.
God damn it.
I think
so. You mean you jump past?
Yes.
Good.
But I'm
glad we clarified that.
I'm roping you in.
Internet. It's not all my fault when things go wrong.
I mean, it is entirely probable that it was actually just the Doctor rocking up in a van.
Yeah.
And that they brought some ambos. And Keiichi's like, oh goodness, they're scary people. It is also just as possible that it was a bunch of thugs sent by who I think is probably the Sonozaki family. And then because they found, their own daughter lying dead in this house, they cleaned it out. They found the message. They tore the bit out.
Yeah.
What it will mean in the broader scope of things, I'm still dubious on.
Sure.
But I do believe that happened. I just believe that Keiichi's interpretation is probably exaggerated.
As with most things.
Exactly.
Sure. Okay. What happened to Tomitake and Takano?
Okay, Tomitake is interesting because...
He's hella dead.
Because Tomitake, they made his death seem like it couldn't have been anything but what was described. They said, he'd been stabbed, he'd been in a fight.
I think... Oh god, now I'm trying to remember exactly what they said.
It's alright.
He'd been in a scuffle. It was clear there'd been adrenaline pumping through his body. He'd swung a wooden board around, maybe to fend people away, and then he scratches through it out.
Yes. So, the interesting thing to me about that is that if we make Keiichi's death and Tomitake's death comparable, Keiichi didn't have the signs of scuffle that we saw apart from with Renner and Mion.
Sure.
So... to me, it's entirely possible that it was kind of the same thing where maybe he wasn't in a scuffle, maybe he was swinging around at ghosts and basically bashed himself up against, trees, and that made it seem like he'd been in a fight.
Yeah, maybe.
And that would also explain why they weren't able to find any evidence of other people nearby.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing was that there was no skin or hair or anything on the board that he'd been swinging around.
Yeah.
So if there was someone there, he wasn't able to hit them.
So I think it was probably the same as Keiichi, where he was like seeing shit and was basically swinging at nothing and getting himself injured through imagining circumstances and playing them out.
And then he tore his own throat out, which is one of the more horrifying ways to die, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like, clawing at one's own skin, as I said at the time, is something that you see a lot in writing with regards to, like, it was formication.
Sure.
Which is basically like the feeling of bugs under your skin. It's kind of like extreme pins and needles.
Right.
The one that always stands out to me is the scarab scene from the Mummy films.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah, it's pretty awful. And you can see it like going through his chest, up his neck, and then it gets to his brain, and he just falls over.
Yeah.
It's awful.
It's interesting if that's actually a connected thing, or if I'm just, making long draws of long bows.
As you do. As the British I want to do.
Yeah. But I do find it really strange that in a murder mystery novel, that would be the method of death. It seems
it's a fun
very atypical.
It's not a very clean death, right?
Yeah.
It's not like he was shot or he was stabbed.
It's also not really like an acted upon death. It's not a death where you see like, oh, there was a culprit. It's like, okay, well, this was a suicide.
Yeah. That's maybe the question, right?
Yeah, it's why was it a suicide?
Yeah. If it is a suicide, why did it happen? That sort of deal.
Yeah, so that's why I kind of like grabbed onto the formication thing, because that would make sense in that there was a motivation for the suicide that was like spur of the moment, I guess.
Well, of course, we all know, as the story tells us, that it was Oshiro-sama's curse.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I mean,
they're suggesting the supernatural kind of explanation.
Yeah. So you're not going to see this, but I'm going to pull up some notes here.
Okay. I'm going to see this. You guys aren't, though. You, the audience who we love. Oh my god, that's not Higurashi. Components of myth. Why have you got notes on Greek mythology here?
Here we go. So,
oh boy.
This was the thing I was talking about earlier when we were speaking about where myths come from. So the four, they're called the external theories of myth. Is natural, charter, ritual, and historical.
Oh my god, you've done research.
I have.
How dare you?
Natural myth is explaining why a natural phenomenon happened through the vessel of gods. So that's when you say like, oh, there's a thunder god, he makes it rain. Charter myths, I'm struggling to remember what charter myths are.
I wish I could tell you.
Yeah, ritual myths is basically saying like, this is why we do this thing. So it's like, okay, the gods make the soil fertile for this much of the year, and we must respect the gods by harvesting and tilling the soil in this time of year.
It's a myth that you have to carry out.
Yeah, and then there's historical myth, which is basically looking back on things that have happened in the past and being like, oh, must have been the gods. What is charter myth?
I don't know.
Tell us in the comments, what's charter myth? But
if anyone knows.
Basically, the point being that Oyashiro-sama's curse is probably one of these four. And it's really interesting to me to figure out what. Because if it's a natural myth, that basically means it's not a murder mystery, right?
Okay, sure.
It means that the wilderness has done madness onto Keiichi and Tomitaki. If it is a ritual, then that's really weird. That means that this is like part of why they behave the way they do in the town. It's like, I guess you could say that this explains why the villagers behave the way they do about the curse.
Well, Rena's like behavior about Oshiro-sama and like, oh, you must respect him or else, I don't know, I'll go crazy, you'll get visited by him or something.
And then if it was a historical one, I guess that's kind of the way that Uishi was looking at it when he was talking about the history of it and the old demons and stuff. And what that probably means is that, like, maybe the swamp was toxic and people couldn't go in the swamp, and that's why there are all of these...
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the myth is, like, pretty straightforward. It's like, there's this swamp where the demons come out of, so don't fucking go in there. That's where people go to die, right? It's like the suicide forest. I don't know what it's called, but it's a very famous one in Japan, which is really sad.
I mean, it could be multiple of them. That's another possibility. But it'll be really interesting to see, as we progress through the story, what aspects of that myth are shown to be true. Because with it being Ryukushi, I would fully expect that at some point we're going to have, like, it seem as though these things are just true. Like, the story is going to act as if there is no other alternative. We already kind of got to that with the way that Keiichi was behaving and seeing things that were, too, like...
I mean, he never, like...
I'm fishing for words.
I kind of get what you're saying. Like, we never saw Keiichi actually, like, see anything crazy. Like, sorry, anything supernatural, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there were things that were, like, greater than reality.
Yeah.
In terms of like,
I don't understand how this can be happening.
He's frozen in place and shit.
Yeah. As he's like searching through his memory, he's like, I can see in my mind's eye this memory, but it's very kind of Edgar Allan Poe, I guess.
Yeah.
In the way that he approaches like weird madness, like there's this crow and it's watching me, or raven rather. You know what? Crows too. Point is, he's right in that line of like, is it fully supernatural or is it not? And he's just kind of surfing there, and he's like, "What do you think, readers?"
Yeah, so I'm really excited to see how that particular aspect of the story becomes fleshed out, because I think puzzling that out is going to be one of the key things, I think, for solving the greater narrative of Higurashi.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be the overarching mystery of this series.
Sure, sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah,
there is one more question for you on this list.
What's the last question?
And I would be remiss if I did not ask it. Any idea what happened in the previous years of Oishiro-sama's curse?
I think I said all of these at some point.
But I want you to restate them.
So,
to some degree, at least.
There was the murder of the site foreman.
Yep. He was cut up.
Yeah, it was probably...
The lead murderer disappeared or something.
Yeah, so it was probably whatever happened to Keiichi and Tomitaki happened to these 5 or 6 workers.
Sure.
And then whoever is over this conspiracy was like, yo, diggity dog, you've been taken by this thing. I need to find out what's up with that. And snatched them away and, used them to find out whatever was going on.
Right.
Then the following year was Rika's parents, I think.
No, the following year was
it was because it was the cliff collapse.
Yeah,
right?
they fell off the cliff or whatever.
So yeah, that one I think it was probably that like one of them killed the other, say with this like case of madness, and then the other was taken away, or maybe that it was actually just the conspiracy, and because they'd been in favor of the dam project, they were actually just killed, and it was covered up by saying it was the curse. I think either is true, but given the pretense of the story, it is probably going to be something to do with the madness.
Sure. Cool.
Unless it ends up just being a clue for who it was later on, I think it's more likely to be a case of
maybe
whatever is going on. Then the following year was Rika's parents.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the same again. Father went mad, or no, the mother went mad, whichever it was.
The mother committed suicide in the swamp.
Yeah.
So yeah. Father was found dead, I believe.
Yeah. So it was probably that the madness afflicted one of them or both of them. I'm like. I think it's following the pattern we've been set up, is the long and short of it.
Sure.
I don't think that any of what we've been told was explicitly a lie. I think it is probably true that the cliff incident happened, but the reasons for the cliff incident were different. I think that it's probably true that Rika's parents died the way that it was said, but the reason that they died was because of this madness. And the reason the corpse wasn't found is because whoever was over the conspiracy was like, another case of the madness, time to investigate. Then the housewife murder with Satoshi disappearing.
Yep.
Probably the same thing. Satoshi went mad. He was taken away after killing whoever it was. I don't think that those are explicit lies. I think they're just obfuscations of the truth.
Well, they found the culprit for the housewife murder. It was a drug addict who like confessed, and then he choked on a spork, which was great.
That's right.
It was that guy.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think there are lies at play here.
Okay.
Just obscuring the truth, and I think that is going to be part of the puzzle going forward.
Some kind of thematic content.
Yeah, because I think one thing that I definitely learned from going through Umineko was that everything Ryukishi showed us that seemed like a red herring
had a point.
It had a point. And I think it's going to be the same with this.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Cool. Well, that's all of the standard questions. Thank you to JM Trad, or Jim Trad, as his friends call him.
Is that what we call him? Is that what you call him?
Jim Trad.
Have I earned that honor?
I don't know. Are you friends with Jim Trad?
I don't know.
I don't know if you are.
I feel like the fact that I say I don't know means no.
Oh, no.
I'll have to earn that.
Jim should be friends with my friend Jakrona.
All right. I guess let's jump into the Umi spoiler section.
Okay. Sure.
So the following section is going to contain spoilers for Umineko.
So get out of here.
However,
Get out.
they are not going to be story spoilers.
Get out. I mean, mostly. Probably. Point is, if you want to be better safe than sorry, you should probably leave.
Pretty much.
But we are going to discuss some similarities and differences between Higurashi and Umineko so far, which is fun.
All right.
So what do you
Nox and Van Dyne, let's go.
Ah! Okay.
Alrighty.
How are you feeling about them?
I really enjoyed that the cicadas stopped exactly at that moment.
It's perfect.
So, Nox and Van Dyne, right?
Okay.
If you are unfamiliar and you've braved the spoiler section, they are two murder fiction theorists and writers from the golden age of detective fiction.
They're pretty cool.
Ryukishi uses them in Umineko to kind of explore the novel's themes self-critically.
Yep.
And that was what got me into Umineko in the first place, so I'm all about that life.
Okay, cool.
This is not a Nox story.
You don't think so?
There is no way this can be a Nox story.
How is this not Nox applicable story?
Because we don't have a reliable perspective.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
Let me pull up the rules quickly.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's go through the 10 fucking rules and just like see which ones apply, because this is an interesting discussion to have. Umineko, they're like core. They're core to the whole fucking entire puzzle, figuring out exactly how it is that the Nox rules work and how the mystery works, if it can even be called a mystery, and that's like a plot point. It's such an important part of Umineko. And to jump into Higurashi, which is a little more nebulous about this, like we've had nary a mention of a Nox or a Van Dyne or a murder mystery at all, in the entire first chapter, you know, which is cool.
Yeah, so let's go through these. So, first of all, the criminal must be mentioned in some early part of the story. I think this has happened.
Okay.
I think that it is going to be one of the original 5.
Sure.
Takano, or Tomitaki.
Yeah. Not Oishi though.
Not Oishi. I think Oishi came in too late.
Okay.
I think Oishi came in late enough to still be a relevant accomplice and still responsible for something, but I don't think he's come in early enough to be like the culprit. So I think we're still following that one. All supernatural or preternatural agencies are ruled out as a matter of course. This is Ryukishi. They're going to be in here as a theme, but as I said with the whole section on approaching myth, I think that it's going to be like it's going to be a vessel for obscuring reality rather than actually being supernatural.
Real. Sure. Yeah.
Not more than one secret room or passage is allowable.
There are no rooms in this murder mystery.
There are no rooms in this mystery.
Open air murder mystery.
However, I would not be surprised if we still have one of these.
Sure.
Let's just say, for a matter of course, that the Sonozaki household has a secret tunnel below it where their research facility into this madness is going on.
Right.
Not going to surprise me at all.
Okay.
I guess more realistically, if we're researching a madness, it would probably be the hospital, and that might be why that's like a location that's name dropped right at the start. And that would also perhaps explain why Takano is involved. But that's like vague ideas of where a secret passage might come in. I get you. That's not a problem. No hitherto undiscovered poisons may be used. This is the one that gets me. This is the one that gets me. I think that we're going to have devices and poisons and chemicals that are going to require explanation at the end.
Okay.
I think Ryukishi is probably going to try and get around this one by basically showing us how the crazy shit works through the whole story, and then at the end being like, it was this thing that caused it. I think that's him trying to get around that rule with like, oh hey, this is how the madness acts. Here's an example of someone dying.
It is now a known poison. You know of it now.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Whether it actually ends up being a chemical, I don't know. It's probably more likely to be something like there is a fucking microbe in the natural water of the swamp that does this to people. And someone's like, ooh, what if we can do something with that? And I think that's what he's trying to do with the whole like Onikakushi history lesson with Uishi and whatnot. But I think that still breaks Nox to some extent.
Sure.
Not that it's going to be a problem. No Chinaman must figure into the story.
No
Rule number
Chinaman!
5.
Get him out of here!
Okay, this is one that's interesting for me, and will, like, in terms of picking a culprit, I feel like everyone to some extent is a Chinaman, and that's a good thing.
Define Chinaman for those who are not familiar.
It is basically, it can't be the odd one out.
You mean Keiichi? You mean the outside of the village who kills
No. So like
his friends?
So traditionally, it's like, you know, you're in a Western mansion with all posh, rich white people, and there's one Chinese guy.
Sure.
It can't be the foreigner.
Sure. It can't be the foreign diplomat.
Yeah. Whereas in this story, Keiichi doesn't fit in. Rena doesn't fit in. Uishi doesn't fit in. Tomataki doesn't fit in. Takano doesn't exist. And then we have the main cast of characters with Mion, Sadako,
I like
Rika.
how Rena is not part of the main cast. Perfect. Yeah, sure.
Well, Rena's still like left the town, and she's
Sure.
like an outsider from the perspective of the curse or whatever.
I get you.
So there. I think it's a good thing that there are so many people who stand out, because it means that it's very hard to pin on them because they're like too obvious. Like,
Sure.
for example, Uishi seems too obvious. If it was him, it would be like just a bit weird, if that makes sense. Like, it's
Sure.
like, you know, the guy that has no investment in the kids, has no emotional
disconnected.
stake. He's just disconnected.
Yep.
I'm sure he'll be connected at some point.
And
later
we have
on.
to look at this with love, of course. We have to figure out the why done it.
All right, no accident must ever help the detective. This one I'm interested to see. I feel like
I don't think there've been any accidents so far.
there haven't been any accidents, but I also feel like because Keiichi is not like doing the "this is my reasoning" angle, he's doing like the "this is what I'm seeing and feeling" angle. I feel like we're going.
This is kind of an interesting thing about Higurashi. Is like, who is the detective here? Because obviously Uishi has the title of detective. Keiichi's our perspective, but he's fucked.
I think the other thing is that the accident one is often like intuition, right?
I figured it out.
So if Keiichi has a hunch that ends up being right, I wouldn't be surprised, but it's not going to be like a reasoning game that's going to lead to that. It's going to be one of Ryukishi's more subtle clues that are dropped in, where Keiichi's like, what if it's this thing that happens to exactly be the truth, and then moves on.
Right.
So he's still kind of verging on the rules there. The detective himself must not commit the crime. All right. First,
Who is the detective?
Who is the detective?
This is the question.
This is the question. I think in my head, Keiichi is my detective.
Okay.
He is. I as the detective, I'm jumping into the story through Keiichi's bones.
Sure.
And I'm treating Keiichi as the detective, even though technically it's Uishi.
And technically, Keiichi also murders.
He
murders 2 people.
So I am not treating this as a Nox story on the grounds that Keiichi has killed people.
You're saying that, okay, he is the detective, therefore his murders make him a shitty detective, basically.
Pretty much.
Fair enough.
And the other thing is that there are well-known, well-critically acclaimed detective stories where the detective has committed the crime. I won't name them.
Well, of course, the other thing we have to kind of mention briefly is like, what do we define as the crime?
Yes.
Because the crime that Keiichi commits is right at the end of the story. It is not the inciting incident. It is not the crime that we'll
get to that in a second.
Okay, I'm into it.
The stupid friend of the detective must not conceal any thoughts which pass through his mind.
Who's that? Who's the Watson?
So if we got Uishi as Watson and Keiichi as detective, we have Uishi's tips to show us his side thoughts. Or if it's the other way around and Keiichi's the Watson, we see his batshit crazy thoughts. So neither of them are particularly useful. So it's really walking right down that thin line on the Noxy boy. The detective must not light on any clues which are not instantly produced for the inspection of the reader. This is another one that kills it being Nox for me because of all of the scenes where Keiichi's like, oh gosh, I see a thing, and then cut to black. Right? I think
dramatic tension.
Yeah, Ryukashi is writing as a horror writer in those moments.
He is.
And I think he's playing to his strengths, and I don't have a problem with it, but it means that we can't look at it from the Nox rules.
Yeah.
Like, if we get to a point where we have a closed room murder, I can't look at it and say, well, this rule applies and that rule applies, because we've already thrown a couple of them halfway out the window. They're like trapped on the windowsill with the window shut over the top of them. Maybe the windowsill's a guillotine. We don't know.
Yep.
Twin brothers and doubles generally must not appear. This one, I mean,
we know
we got twins.
Yeah. Stupid.
The reason that it's in the Nox rules is because they can't act as body doubles for each other.
Yep.
And I mean, the fact that we know that they're separate individuals means that it's not going to be 100% of the case, but if the reason that Shion doesn't appear in Arc 1 is because
she was in the shadow the whole time.
Yeah, because they're playing as body doubles or whatever.
I am going to guarantee that that's not the case. Shion is just not present in Arc 1.
Yeah.
That's bullshit to even consider.
Like, I still think that we've broken that rule there, and that's why I point it out.
Yeah.
But I agree, I don't think it's going to factor in as a solution at any point. Though I can't wait to be wrong.
She knows how to twist your expectations.
Now, here's the thing, Ben.
I'm going to go through Van Dyne as well. What is this site? What have you pulled up now?
You say, Ben.
What is this?
This is Van Dyne.
Oh, God.
You say, Ben, that we don't know which the crime is, and this is where we get to Van Dyne.
Good.
Because Van Dyne says, there simply must be a corpse in a detective novel.
There is.
And the deader the corpse, the better.
Yeah.
No less a crime than murder will suffice. 300 pages is far too much pother for a crime other than murder.
There you go.
Now, here's the thing. If we are getting into this whole thing with conspiracy theories and chemicals and madness and, like, you know, the microbes in the swamp or whatever, then, like, we've... Van Dyne is halfway out that window guillotine as well. Like, because...
The window guillotine. Poor Van Dyne. Poor Van Dyne getting guillotined out the window.
Like, because we don't see Tomataki's corpse. We hear about it in third person.
No,
we don't see Keiichi's corpse. We hear a detective report about it.
Yep.
We don't have a corpse.
We don't actually see any of the corpses, I don't think. Except for maybe Mion and Rena, where he's like, oh, I did kill someone. But, like, other than that, there is no direct, like, confrontation with the corpse.
Yeah,
there is no investigating the crime scene. There is none of that.
The thing is we know who killed Rena and Mion.
Yes.
Because we basically saw it happen.
Yes. We even saw it foreshadowed right at the beginning of the story. Yeah. I'm not going to say it's not Nox, because I will allow other people greater than me to debate such things, but it is very clear that this is not your traditional detective story.
Yes.
There is no scene where the detective inspects the crime scene. He does not gather witnesses. He just hides out in his house.
Yes.
And tries to make it look like his parents are home.
I also feel like the fact that Nox and Van Dyne appear as new-seeming characters in Umineko means that Ryukashi probably got feedback from Higurashi where people were like, well, this isn't fair, and here's this theorist telling you why. Yeah. And Ryukashi's like,
let's deconstruct that.
I can deconstruct that. So I think that's where where Higurashi's coming from with regards to these two theorists.
Yeah. Something that will be fun to kind of talk about later on is how his writing of Umineko is directly like a response to writing Higurashi, and also how his later works, Higanbana and I assume Rose Guns Days, are also like a knee-jerk reaction to people's responses to his more recent works.
Yes.
As I've said, there's a character in Higanbana that is very clearly supposed to deconstruct Beatrice's character and her role in the story in a really big way. Really criticizes like why she exists.
Yeah, and I mean, there are other Van Dyne rules, like a crime in a detective novel must not turn out to be an accident or suicide.
Which it is a suicide.
Halfway out the window with that one already. I mean, you can say that the suicide was on account of something else.
Sure.
So it's still walking down the line. The professional criminal, I think it's a conspiracy, so the professional criminal rule, which is 17 in Van Dyne, is probably broken as well. A detective novel should contain no long descriptive passages, slice of life out the window.
Do you think we should just keep a track of all the rules that have been broken and see if we can break them all? I feel like it's doable.
I feel like we probably could, but I also don't know if it's really worth the time.
I feel like it'd be fun.
All right.
We'll see.
We'll maybe make that a game for the post edits.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that
You think it's just not Nox or Van Dyne?
it's not Nox or Van Dyne, and on the one hand, that's scary.
Yeah.
Because it means that I don't have a toolkit to work with.
You have less ammo to throw at this mystery. But on the other hand, maybe it's okay.
Yeah, maybe that'll be fun, right?
Maybe it'll be fun to do something a little less intense as Umineko.
The fact that people love this story so much means that it probably will be pretty cool. It probably
will be pretty cool.
I went in.
That's my review. See, it's pretty cool.
I went in dubious to Umineko, and it fucking blew me away.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Higurashi's gonna end up doing the same.
How are you feeling about Arc 1, Onikakushi Hen, compared to where you were at the end of Umineko Episode 1?
I enjoyed Umineko Episode 1 more because it catered more to me and I was like really into the intrigue style stuff.
Sure.
I think
there's a lot more like politics going on. It's a little bit more complicated. Like there's a web being woven.
Yes.
Between all the characters.
I think that Higurashi you can take a lot more at face value in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And less so in others. Like the fact that things that break reality appear so much earlier in Higurashi than they did in Umineko.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that Beatrice's appearance at the end of episode 1 in the tea party, which like the fucking double tea party whammo of episode 1 blows the all-cast review session out of the water.
Absolutely.
Like the all-cast review session is fun, it's a neat idea, but it is not something to write home about.
Yes.
But the tea parties were like, they completely, for me, when I first read it, they completely changed the way that I viewed the episode.
Yeah. I think like I'm about to aggravate some people.
Heresy.
I think that the all cast review session was making up for Ryukashi's weaknesses as a writer.
Okay, that's an interesting point. Sure. How do you want to explain yourself to the court?
The themes that he wanted to explore were not clearly enough presented in the body of the story.
Right.
Such that he had to have the all-cast review session, not only for himself as a writer to review the themes that he wanted to explore, but also to explain them to the audience.
Yeah.
And I think Umineko did a much better job of, in the story, explaining the themes, and then the tea parties were actually there for the audience rather than for Ryukashi as a writer. Because the tea parties were like, hey, look at all of these themes. Now we're going to turn the premise. You're not ready for episode 2.
Yeah.
Whereas in Higurashi,
it's a primer, right? It's like, this is where you're at the end of episode 1. Let me, the writer, just review the things that I thought were important and tell you what to look out for in episode 2. Like, pretty directly.
Yes. So I think that the all-cast review session is
weaker.
It's bad.
Wow.
Like,
I would not say it's bad.
Not to say that I didn't enjoy it, but it is emblematic of weaknesses in writing. And I think that the way that Ryukashi improved on that and made it fucking awesome for Umineko shows that he learned from that in a really, really interesting way, which makes me excited for the later all-cast review sessions, because he will probably learn from this earlier one as well.
I mean, I've only seen the first 2. I don't know how they pan out, but I hope they get crazy.
But I think that at least this first all-cast review session is probably a lot more blatant than it should be, because those themes weren't adequately presented earlier in the story.
I think it's also kind of like showing his confidence as a writer, like being a little lower, because like the way that the all-cast review session is kind of structured, he's like, hey, there were beta testers who play my game, wasn't that cool? Like, I feel like as his confidence kind of grew through his writing, as people started to enjoy his works more, that's when he was like, now I can subvert expectations, now I can do some more exciting stuff.
Yeah, and like, don't get me wrong as well, that when I say that the all-cast review session was bad, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a sign of less equipped writing, as you say. It was a sign of him being less confident.
Yeah.
And the fact that I've seen what's happened after he grew through that stage of malconfidence means that it was worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like when you look back on anything you made 5 years ago and cringe. Like, that's just how that's just how creatives progress. That's how people progress in any field.
My work will never see the light of day again. It's archived on YouTube, never seen it again.
So like, as much as I I think the all-cast review session was bad. I still enjoyed it, which means it fulfilled one purpose. And he clearly learned from it and made it into a useful, unique part of his storytelling later on.
Mm-hmm. And we are talking about it now, so it was important enough for a fucking footnote, at least. Yeah.
So there you go. I mean, let's wrap it up as we always do. The music was garbage. The music was hot garbage, but I did catch myself humming one of the songs.
Nice.
So
was it the club music?
I don't.
The problem is, so here's the problem, is that I was listening to the soundtrack from the Anthrax on the way here, so I can't actually picture any of the old music. So when you're like, the music's garbage, I'm like, oh yeah, it was, wasn't it?
It's like he used bad music in a surprisingly effective way.
Yes, he does, but it's still bad.
It's still Creative Commons bullshit.
Yep.
Which also, I hope it's not actually Creative Commons, because if it's Creative Commons, that means we probably need to find the original creators and put their
credit them
and put the attribution in.
Oh god!
Unless they were not attribution Creative Commons.
You know what? I have no fucking clue.
So
I hope that their lawyers never find us.
So if you know, if you're
a lawyer, call us.
Yeah, if you know if they're actually Creative Commons and you can find the attribution, please let us know.
Yeah, sure. Well, nothing's been claimed yet. You know, unlike an Ubineco, those guys are on our asses.
Well, I mean, the whole thing with Creative Commons is you're not really going to get sued over it, but it's more a case of just good practice.
No, I get you. It's all good.
Yeah, so expectations...
For episode 2, or Arc 2.
Arc 2, I don't know.
Watanagashi.
I'm going to find some way to fit a Wario into that edit somehow.
Good, I'm excited to see it.
I don't really
we were
know.
told that we would learn about the history of the town. That's what we were told in the all-cast review session.
Yep.
Do you think that's pretty much it?
I mean, that's what we did in the first one as well. So it's
true.
A very moot
It's
point.
true. He's like, we learned about the characters, and I'm like, we did, but we also learned about the town and its history and the damn project.
When we finished Umineko Arc 1, I thought that episode 2 was going to be a completely different murder mystery.
Yep, and it was just the same thing.
But now I know what the structure of these stories is a bit better.
Yep.
So I know it's going to be a repeating timeline.
People die in different ways.
People die in different ways.
Yeah.
We're probably going to explore the theme through different characters. Like, you know...
Who do you think is going to be the focal point of the next episode, if you had to pick someone? Just pick a random character. Or is there someone who you don't think will be the focal point?
I don't think Keiichi's going to go mad.
Okay.
And I think that Mion's going to come to the front a bit more.
Sure. Because
it seemed like we were gearing up to learn a lot about Mion, and then it just kind of disappeared towards the end.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was kind of the setup for maybe the next arc, but it's tough to say, because I knew when we finished Umineko Arc 1 that I was really behind on my thinking. I knew the story was fucking 20 steps ahead of me.
You're a lot more prepared this time around.
I'm a lot more prepared this time.
I can neither confirm nor deny any of your theories, but I think it's pretty clear that you're prepared.
Yeah, so I don't think that the story is going to catch me quite off guard in the same way that Umineko Chapter 2 did, where I opened up and I was like, wait, what the fuck?
Why are we here again?
Why are
there more seagulls?
Still my favorite thing to rewatch one of my favorite things to watch from the entire Umineko playthrough is the opening video of episode 2, where George and Shannon are on the beach, and the implication of the scene is obviously that Shannon's like, oh, I don't want to say I love him, that's too forward. But I was like, oh god, is she gonna say, but George, we died? And it's gonna cut, and it's gonna like be a weird magic scene.
Yeah.
And like I'm flipping the fuck out in what is a completely ordinary scene because I had no idea what was going on.
That's fantastic. I love it. I should rewatch that series. Everyone go watch that again. Just the whole thing.
It's just the whole thing.
Between now and our next video upload. Just do it. All right, well, I guess, is that everything you wanted to talk about? I feel like I've poked you on enough things.
Yeah, I think this is our longest recap yet.
It was a good one. Look, it's a new series. It's a new brand new faces, fresh-eyed and bushy-tailed.
I am probably going to be yelling and kicking and screaming about the slice of life at the start of next episode.
Yeah, good luck with that.
But
even I had troubles. When I read Watanagashi myself, I was like, 20 minutes, I need a break. I need another break. God help me. So it'll be more fun with you suffering with me. Is what I'm trying to say.
I'm glad.
Yay, friendship. Suffering together is fun.
It was a fun day for all the people who weren't playing Higurashi. Ben, this has been a fun murder mystery.
It has. It's been fun doing the cicadas with you. the Higurashis. It doesn't sound quite as good as saying doing the Uminekos, because that's what I was going to say, but we're not doing that. Anyway, point is, thanks for coming. See you next time.
It's been a fun attempt on my life.